M.T.Pockets Budget Chewing Gum in cinnamon and now new spearmint.
And then I think Joel had a really good idea when he incorporated the music, because again, these are people that you normally wouldn't go out and see, or you wouldn't be exposed to. It was always something different. It was never the same.
One thing that I totally loved about the M.T.Pockets things is the music. Joel is a fine musician. I don't know if he considers himself a fine musician.
One of the things that broke things up at the Escape Drive-In was I brought in music acts, and I tried to find the weirdest stuff I could find, or people that were unusual. And so in the middle of the show, which we call the intermission, we'd have a music act come out and perform, which is supposed to be when people can get up and move around so they can watch the music or they can leave.
We had Kevin Bobo, who did a wonderful, incredible thing. So it was real kind of a hit and miss. Some of the people I booked, and then when the ones Joel booked, I would be like, okay, well, great, Joel. I know they're going to be odd.
As the years went by, the lobster boy grew into a middle-aged man, and he grew bitter as the sideshow world closed up. And he went into retirement in Sarasota, and he became a raging, abusive alcoholic. And his wife could no longer tolerate it.
I remember I had known Keith Gist for many years under his real name, and I did not know he was a singer. I still don't, but he is a performer. And first time I went there, I think he was singing some, I suppose you could call it singing, I suppose you could call it a song. In the days of, post-Janis Joplin, anything goes. It had to do with a number of lines of bits of wisdom that sounded a little bit like Confucius and a little bit like very bad haiku poetry, accompanied by Sanderson with this weird-looking space hat off in the back of the stage, trying to look like a solemn scientist, and Gist would speak these lines with great solemnity and step back and let us ponder their deep and wonderful wisdom, while the audience hooted and hollered, had a good time.
The performance that I did for M.T.Pockets was like one of the first of many that I started doing later on. I've always had a fascination with UFOs, and then just slamming UFO and cowboys together.
Ladies and gentlemen, Leonard Crotslow. His first public appearance in what, 20 years?
Erickson says you're just a bunch of low-brow hooligans and he won't have anything more to do with you.
Once again, the fabulous budget table of fabulous prizes.
Of course, all the prizes, I mean, that was a lot of the appeal because it was participation. You could get into it.
And of course, the prizes. God bless U.S. Toy.
And people would run up on the stage and go, "Oh man, this is so cool." And they'd be yelling and screaming. And
another carryover from the Escape Drive-In was the prize drawing. The prize drawing became the big part of the Escape Drive-In.
Your prize numbers are now going from this ashtray into the vat. A good story.
The problem with the prize drawing is that every time you give away a good prize, people expect the next show for you to give a better prize. So the problem with the better prize is that it gets more and more expensive. So at one of the shows, I gave away a small can, like one of those small cans of pork and beans, and people went nuts. So I said, okay, the next show I'll give away a big can of pork and beans, and that'll be the grand prize. It worked out, because the next time I tried that, just the audience went berserk. And then it became a tradition. It saved me the expense of coming up with something bigger and better, and it was just a blast to see people shrieking and going nuts over winning the can of pork and beans. That was the prize from then on.
The pork and beans can giveaway for the big prize. That was just so funny. That you know, here you get this big 5-pound can of pork and beans, and that's the grand prize. After all the prizes that have been given away,
The grand prize, everybody thought, I remember seeing that for the first time, everybody thought, wow, it's going to be like a Walkman or some high-tech thing, you know, it's really fancy toy, and it's 3 pounds of pork and beans.
Yes, the M.T.Pockets tradition, the grand prize is the huge can of pork and beans.
And the crowd goes crazy, you know,
I don't know whether I ever won the can of beans, but that's a little, I mean, I live alone, you know, and a can of beans that size would be a little difficult for me to make any practical use of anyway.
I know I won the pork and beans one time, and I swear to God that sounded, it was awful suspicious, but I took it in stride and went with it.
I also never got the can of beans, but, you know, I think I should have gotten something, you know. I mean, as the critic, I'm not supposed to take things, but if it just falls into my lap, it's almost an act of God, you know.
It was great. It was a wonderful mix of entertainment of all sorts. You had your film, you had your performance art, you had music, and you had just the wild craziness kind of thrown in. It was excellent. Veritable super fun.
where did this go from? This is not my brother.
The general feeling this is unique. This is not something that people, you know, all over the United States are seeing. This is a local product. And it was something of a privilege to see the M.T.Pockets Big Budget Film Festival. I always rather hoped that it would reach a wider audience, but then again, it would lose a bit of its uniqueness if it was broadcast nationwide or something like that. So it worked out any way you wanted to.
and I think a lot of what the M.T.Pockets shows are is bringing back a modern twist on what the movie-going experience was.
It's kind of like M.T.Pockets was all, that's kind of what it was about anyway, was throwing that two technologies together at the same time.
It's a moment of history. It's kind of, you know, something that might not ever be captured again unless Joel gets over his burned out stage.
I like that people remember it still. I mean, I think that people want it and miss it and want more and more.
M.T.Pockets, man, it's a dangerous, dangerous gig.
Don't know that our present situation indicates people took it seriously or that they understand anything better than they did back in the old days. In light of that thought, it's a little frightening to contemplate the works of Sanderson. We haven't outgrown them yet.
Thank you.